Is this thing on?
Are you ready, Matt?
You're listening to Box Office Bingers
with Matt Diaz and Ernesto Santos.
Good evening, folks. We have a wonderful evening's entertainment lined up for you.
We know each other. He's a friend from work.
Box Office Bingers.
And the only way that I know how to do it is to find you a bloody good dump.
He's my friend. I don't have friends. I got family. I can do this all day.
You know, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
Matt, we are back. We have a lot to talk about this week.
That's an understatement.
I mean, there's no what you're watching. It's just news and the movie we're reviewing. Go ahead and let the people know.
Yeah, this week we are reviewing a movie that's being talked about in the award season this year. Is J. Kelly, recently nominated for 4 Critics' Choice Awards, including Best Picture, as well as 2 Golden Globes, for the performances of George Clooney and Adam Sandler. It's written and directed by Noah Baumbach, which we've reviewed his film, I should say,
Marriage Story.
Marriage Story, which we both loved. I
Yeah.
remember that was earlier when we started this podcast. That's one of the, I think it was in 2019 when that movie came out, if I'm not mistaken. And then I remember I think it was one of the first top 20, first 20 episodes, I believe.
Yeah,
we talked about
it's definitely one of the first ones. It's ones I remember now. I mean, the scene with Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver in the apartment where they're kind of like having their blowout. I mean, I still remember parts of it. Like that movie was so good. I love that movie.
It was very good. He also did While We're Young, starring, I believe that was Ben Stiller. And he's also the co-writer behind Barbie with his partner Greta Gerwig, who also had a small role in J. Kelly. She played Adam Sandler's wife in the movie.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah, I mean, Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, again, they're partners, so they've been making movies together for quite some time now, kind of going hand in hand. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about this movie. It just hit Netflix about a week ago. And it's been again being talked about around the award season. Curious to see where it comes up in the Oscars conversation, but already it's being recognized at the Critics' Choice and the Golden Globes. And for the next couple of weeks, I feel like right now is kind of the start of officially we are dipping our toes into the award season conversation. I feel like we've done it with other films, like, I feel like we reviewed movies a few, within the last few months that had the potential of being in the awards conversation. We knew One Battle After Another was definitely one of those. But now with all the nominations are coming out, we're fine tuning exactly what movies are being looked at. Excuse me. And Jay Kelly is definitely one of those in the conversation. In the next few weeks, we're probably going to be doing the same, kind of picking out some of these movies that are most likely going to be nominated highly for one reason or another. And um, excuse me, let me get some water real quick. There we go. We're refreshed now. uh, and so yeah, and so like again, the next couple of weeks, and then we're also going to try to hit up. I know we talked about doing Avatar, Fire and Ash.
Yeah.
So we'll throw in some blockbusters, we'll throw in some award season stuff. We'll try to mix it up a little bit, but just to look ahead, and we also for the rest of the year, we are as we close out the rest of the year, we have our best in 2025 coming up as well. Either probably, if not the first or the second episode of 2026.
Usually, yeah.
Within the month of January, we'll hit it for sure.
Oh, definitely. And then we get to look forward. Well, what movies we're looking forward to 2026. That's always another fun conversation, kind of like our reflection and kind of like looking forward. But I'm curious. Are you gonna? You were skeptical if you were gonna have 10 this year.
I think I still am. I haven't really fully I feel like the movies that I think would be on that list, I haven't watched all those movies yet. And there's still like a few that are still in theaters right now, like Zootopia 2, I haven't seen yet. Obviously, Avatar Fire and Ash is a high one that I'm looking forward to. But aside from a few other ones that I want to watch it before we make our list. Yeah, I don't have there wasn't a lot of movies that I was kinda over the moon about. Like, we've given out 5 stars,
Hmm.
throughout the year, but, like, nothing that was like, "Wow, that stood out. This was amazing. I keep thinking about it." I don't think I had a lot of those this year, so I don't even know if I'm gonna get the 10 realistically that I really love. I mean, yes, I can pick 10 movies, but it would be more like, well, the from 10 to 6 was like, "Yeah, I liked it."
So it's
But then
really
the top
five.
5 might be, like, the ones that I really care about.
Okay. I mean, we could go. We could try going top five this year. We could see. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see how
Yeah,
the rest of this year pans out.
yeah, we'll see how the list ends up going, and then we'll have that. But it's always a fun conversation to kind of reflect on the year and moving forward. In 2026, it's a big year. It's a
Oh
big
yeah.
year for movies.
Oh yeah.
If 2025 was like a little bit of a slump, then 2026 is making up for it. There's a lot of big franchises out there, and I'm sure there's a lot of other movies that we're excited about that we haven't even like. I know there's something coming from Steven Spielberg's Nolan's new movie. A lot of big heavy hitters that are known in Hollywood, famous directors are coming out with their movies in 2026. At one point, Jordan Peele was coming out with a movie. Doesn't seem like that's happening anymore. I think that date got pulled. I think it had like a Christmas 2026, so I think that's being pushed till later. So we're not seeing Jordan Peele's new movie, but there are a lot of other directors that are coming out for 2026. But again, that's a conversation for another day. We will be talking about Jay Kelly a little bit later in the show. But if you've been listening to us the last couple of weeks, we've been teasing that we're going to have a really big entertainment news section. And so this is basically this episode. We have a lot to talk about over the course. I want to say 2 months
Yeah.
of worth of news. I think the last time we've covered a piece of news was somewhere in October.
Yeah.
Somewhere October, I believe. I don't know exactly which episode it was, but somewhere in October, maybe mid October, we covered the latest headlines, and now uh, and so now over the course of about 2 months or so, there is a lot that happened since we last talked about news. So just a little bit of lay of the land. We're gonna be covering a lot of this episode is gonna be covering the news, and then we're gonna have our Jay Kelly review later in the show. So if you want to we do have those timestamps in the bottom of the screen, the bottom of the screen, not the screen. We don't look at the screen. In our description, we have the timestamps of when we're moving on to the review. So you just want to go straight to it. You can go look there, and it'll tell you at what point we get there. But I advise not to do that because we're going to be talking about probably one of the biggest headlines potentially of the year, and a move that would drastically reshape the entertainment business. Netflix and Warner Brothers Discovery announced that they have entered into a definitive agreement under which Netflix will acquire Warner Brothers, including its film and television studios, HBO and HBO Max. In a press release, the company said that the deal has a total enterprise value, including debt, of approximately $82.7 billion dollars, with an equity value of a $72 billion dollars. This announcement comes after a weeks long bidding war that pitted the streaming giant against Paramount, Skydance, and Comcast Universal. Now, upon writing this story, a lot has happened since then. We're going to get to Paramount and their takeover, at least after this announcement came out a little bit later. But specifically with the deal that kind of came out, this acquisition is expected to close following Warner Brothers Discovery's spinoff of Discovery Global Television Network division in Q3 of 2026. So this was announced a while ago that Warner Brothers Discovery said that they were splitting off into their basically back into two companies. That Discovery was going to acquire all of the TV networks like TBS, Cartoon Network, I believe, CNN, and other things that are typically on cable network, and kind of making that a whole separate division. And then Warner Brothers Studios, HBO and HBO Max was going to be its own separate division. And then once they separated the two, and we all knew that Warner Brothers was also up for sale, that's when basically the bidding war started
Hmm.
of all these companies wanting to acquire either all of the company or just specifically the movie studios and streaming services, which is, I believe, what Netflix and NBC Universal was kind of getting toward. They really wanted that uh, the the studio and the streaming service. But whereas the deal with Paramount, they wanted everything. So again, we'll get to that later a little bit in a second. Excuse me. Currently, where did I leave off? Netflix said it expects to maintain Warner Brothers' current operations and build on its strengths, including theatrical releases for films. Currently, Warner Brothers has set deals to release its films in cinemas through 2029. In the near term, Netflix signaled it would keep HBO Max as a separate service, while also saying by adding a deep film and television libraries and HBO Max programming, Netflix members will have an even more high quality titles from which to choose. This also allows Netflix to optimize its plans for consumers, enhancing viewer options and expanding access to content. So there's a lot to talk about here, a lot of the positives, a lot of the negatives. But within all of this, the Paramount seemed to be not happy with this announcement
Hmm.
because then they announced, not but days later, that they want a $108 billion takeover of the entire company, cash offer. I feel like I'm missing a couple of details, Ernesto. I know you had them pulled up here.
Yeah, it's $108.4 billion. So it's 139% premium over their WB's Discovery's undisturbed stock price. That's also 18 billion more in pure cash than Netflix's offer, and it also encompasses everything. Like they're not having them split off their cable assets. They want to keep everything together, and they just kind of want to preserve the company for. They want to preserve it WB for what it is. They just want to, like, I guess, be their parent. Be their parent
Yeah.
company. That's kind of how I see it. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously bad because the big talk is that Netflix will change the streaming model if they're gonna be closer to they're more streamers than they are movie distributors. So that's gonna like change the entire landscape of what Hollywood is. I mean, even with the AI, we read just recently that they're talking up they just inked a $1 billion open AI deal for AI driven content. I mean, and Disney's doing that too, and there's like a whole backlash on that. And I'm actually even that like that encompassing on top of this, like I'm just kind of against it. Like we don't need that. I feel like it's such a slap in the face to the artists and true creators who have like
Yeah.
this is their career with how they decided to live their life. And yeah, we have this thing now, but then it's gonna be like TikTok for like watching movies. It's gonna be,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it's gonna just dilute the landscape of like more trash. And which is funny because Netflix already has a massive library of things that nobody wants to watch.
Well, it's funny because it's a hit or miss with Netflix. Like,
Yeah.
I do think they produce high quality content. Like Stranger Things over the Thanksgiving break is a great example of like Netflix is known for creating events more than any other studio out there. Maybe Disney is up for the conversation of creating these event films. And just recently, obviously Universal came out with Wicked for Good, and that was an event movie to go out to. Disney just literally just did that with Zootopia 2, which is on its way of making $1 billion within its first 2 weeks of release, and that's becoming an event. You have Warner Brothers when Sinners came out, it became an event to go and support Sinners, and it's it's kinda crazy that, like, that might go away with the Netflix deal, and I think with Netflix, I think they have a very, very interesting decision to make on how they wanna move forward because, yes, notoriously, they have been gone out saying, "We don't wanna put our movies in the theaters." When they do put movies in theaters, they're very limited releases. Now, I with this year alone, we've seen them kinda do a little bit of a shift in how they approach movie theaters. Movies like Frankenstein, Wake Up Dead Man: A Knives Out Story, and the sing-along version of K-pop Demon Hunters, have had a mini wide-ish it's a limited, but also enough to where, like, it's not just available in New York and it's not just available in California, but also, like, little indie and, small theaters that these movies are available in for you to watch in your local area if you want to. I just did that with Frankenstein. I drove all the way to Lakeland to see Frankenstein in theaters, and then recently I drove to Ocoee to see, Ryan Johnson's new movie, Wake Up Dead Man, that's hitting Netflix this weekend as we're having this conversation. So like, they are dipping their toes into it, and then also what they were against by the Duffer Brothers for having their, series finale of Stranger Things go to theaters because the finale itself is about 2 hours long. Netflix turned them down, said the finale would not be in theaters, and then because of the successes they've been having with K-pop Demon Hunters Frankenstein, then they decided to reverse what they said, and now the Stranger Things finale is gonna be in theaters for 2 days, and it will the first showing will be available the same time you can watch it on Netflix on, New Year's Eve. I think the first showing is like at 8 PM, and that's when it hits on Netflix. So if you wanna watch in theaters and all those showings are sold out. Those are
Mm,
sold out showings, every single one. You can watch it on New Year's Eve, and you can watch it on New Year's Day. After New Year's Day, it's that movie that episode is no longer available in theaters, and you can continue to watch on Netflix. I think Netflix is seeing the value of the cinematic experience. They they created an event that basically every showing is sold out with that Stranger Things finale. I mean, Stranger Things is a phenomenon, but I think they are recognizing that there's value into theaters. So I'm hoping that now that they are acquiring Warner Brothers, at least they're trying to anyway, they would, they have a duty to uphold this over 100-year studio to the values that people are expecting when they see a Warner Brothers film.
yeah.
And that's just a hope. I hope that they're seeing that because I can see that they're seeing the value in that. And also, and if this deal goes through that and it can be qualified by Q3 of 2026, we're honestly not gonna see any real change to this, in my opinion, until at least 2028.
Mm,
It's very similar than when we talked about DC Studios. It was announced back in like what, 2022
mhm.
that DC Studios was being, under James Gunn. They had to wait until all of those other movies, they had 4 basically flops had to come out before they were able to make any headway. They also had to start making those movies through DC Studios. And so like the first movie we got was in 2025 after the announcement toward the end of 2022. So, like, it's gonna take time to see us actually see the changes come through if Netflix officially acquires Warner Brothers. So, they said that there's a slate of movies being released until 2029. I think those will be untouched. The movies up until 2028. Maybe some movies may no longer be in development. I'm not disagreeing with that. They might shelve a few of those.
Mhm.
But I think some of the bulk of those movies will still be as scheduled, and the same for HBO. And then specifically with HBO programming, that's what I'm worried about the most. Because I don't know how they're going to handle that with their large library of Netflix content. Now, I'm also hoping that, again, this is like the good and the bad. I'm also hoping that maybe all of the trash TV that is on Netflix and the stuff where they have a plethora of content to choose from, maybe because they own Warner Brothers and hey, 82 billion is nothing to scoff at. That's a lot of money
Yeah.
and they want to have a return on their investment, we might not get as much as, some of the little programming that's available on Netflix, and they might start producing more of the high quality content on a consistent basis to keep up with HBO's model as well as Netflix's high quality content that they've been pushing out, like a Stranger Things, like a Squid Game, like a Wednesday, like they just released a trailer for Avatar Last Airbender, which is a big project under them. One Piece is another big show that they've been promoting. Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro's new movie was a big push, as well as Ryan Johnson's Wake Up Dead Man. Like they're making the effort to push these movies and being these big things on their streaming service. So I do think Netflix can be a good asset to kind of push and grow the Warner Brothers branding. However, there is going to be a lot of loss in that, and a lot of variety is going to be gone within all that. Like, who knows if Netflix had Warner Brothers, would we see some of these movies coming out? Would we have a Weapons? Would they push for a $30 million movie,
Yeah.
and push it into theaters, or would that have originally have gone to the streaming service? It's like I do see that there's some good value in this, but it also comes at a time where Warner Brothers had one hell of a year
Yeah.
of making great quality movies that came to the box office. And, from Companion to the Minecraft movies, even though I didn't see it, it almost made $1 billion. Sinners, Weapons, Superman, One Battle After Another, F1 the movie. They killed it this year. And most of those movies, Mickey 17 didn't come number one, but Bong Joon Joe, a very popular director with starring Robert Pattinson. Like that is a headline movie to go catch, even though it didn't. But like they had like a really great year as a studio, and it's also the same year they're planning on selling it.
Yeah, but what's really interesting is when you bring those movies up, is like all those movies were, they were considered risks because they were so expensive. A lot of them were very expensive to make, and they were all gambles that WB takes. So, but now, even if Paramount, excuse me, now they merge, now that's one less studio that somebody can go to pitch their movie. You know, it just makes it just kind of lessens the competition a little bit of where these creators can shop their movies around to get a competitive offer, or even to have a studio, another studio for them to take a chance on if everybody else passes on them.
100%, 100%. This is overall. I want Warner Brothers to be its own separate thing. I mean, again, the list of movies that came out this year, they were all more or less hits. Like there were some really good movies.
Hmm.
That's just one less place to go. I mean, when Disney bought Fox, they branched off into 20th Century Studios. Like we do get some of the lower budget movies coming out of that studio. And then we also have their big budget movies, which is pretty much assigned to Alien, Predator, and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Hmm.
Like that, those are the movies that they're willing to invest because those are valuable IPs. Other than that, we're getting The Complete Unknown. Um, we got Somebody from Nowhere, the new uh, uh, the guy from the Bear. What's his name?
Oh, the Bruce Springsteen movie,
Yes,
Jeremy Allen White.
Jeremy Allen White. Yes. Yeah, that was also under 20th Century Studios. So like we're getting those movies being pushed out into the cinemas. So like, it's a give and take. I feel like, but if it was its own separate thing, they would be churning out a lot more movies, a lot more variety for the audience. So when these big mergers happen, the only person that loses at the end of the day is the audience and the creators.
Mm,
Because like you like the very point that you made, it's one less place to shop for your movie. And there's one less place that we can go to grab that movie and to see that. And then it creates a little bit of a monopoly because now, guess what? Guess who's owning the streaming service? Guess who's owning the streaming market? Disney and Netflix.
yeah,
And like that's it. Like Peacock and Paramount can't even hold a candle to that. Like they're not even in the competition anymore
mm-mm.
because they're like two giants putting out these monster movies, and they basically are taking over. I'm very very curious to see what happens with HBO because they create such good content, and I would
Yeah,
hate for them to just be relegated to this is the place where DC can house their content because we know that DC Studios is a viable machine.
yeah. I mean,
Like
it's gonna be interesting. It'll be interesting because whatever the decision is gonna reshape whatever Hollywood is gonna be.
Yeah, and I will say that Netflix is probably the better deal here because Netflix is only wanting to buy Warner Brothers, HBO, and HBO Max. Paramount wants to buy everything. And if Paramount actually wins this takeover, I feel like this will be worse off for everybody. Not only it will be a true monopoly, and I would hate to see that because not only do they own two major film studios, they're also owning the HBO library. They also own a lot of the news, which is already a problem in and of itself, of like where you get your news and where it's coming from. So if you have two separate news outlets pushing out the same content, again, less variety for people to get their intake on what news they want to hear.
Hmm.
It's not great. And though I'm not a huge fan of Netflix buying Warner Brothers either, this is if this is happening anyway, this is the better of the two. Because at least Discovery Global Television will remain its own separate thing, and I'm okay with that. Like they have their own they're on their own different market. They want to focus on television and the networks and all that stuff, and that's them over there. But if Paramount gets all of that, that's going to be worse off.
So
So
what's interesting is that I was on the other side where I thought Paramount would have been better, but now thinking about it, like my worry is Netflix changing the models of how we receive content. But I think that's like inevitable. Like like there's no point of fighting that because it's only going to get like it's only going to change further and further. This is just going to like accelerate the process. Whereas Paramount taking over is changing it, but for the worse, for the exact reasons that you listed. Like, this is the lesser of two evils.
That is correct. And I think with Netflix at the very least, and the CEO of Netflix has come out and say we're not trying to, we're not trying to destroy cinemas. Maybe that's a PR thing. I don't know. But as of right now, I would like to take his word for it because of of the reasons I just explained earlier was that they're dipping their toes into the cinemas. They're trying to see how it feels out within the Netflix branding. But people know the Warner Brothers branding. And if they want to respect that, then I think they would keep it separate. This could be an avenue for Netflix to streamline their movies through the Warner Brothers distribution services that Netflix never really had. So, like, there's a whole infrastructure here of how Warner Brothers runs their business that Netflix can learn from and grow from that and potentially make it better. However, I can also see Netflix deciding to continue to put movies into theaters, but with shorter release windows, which, you know
That's
what,
for sure.
doesn't sound that bad. Even though he's like, oh, I want to see my movies. Some people are complaining that like these movies are no longer going to be in theaters for a month, but instead maybe only for 2 weeks. And it's like, honestly, what's the harm in that? And the only reason why I say that is because if you really want to see that movie, you would go see it in the theater.
Yeah.
Like that's already a given. The people who want to see Stranger Things given a 2-day window, that's sold out. That's supporting the theaters. That is a good thing. But if you have a movie that is strung out for a month, like there's a good chance that by week 3, it's not going to be making huge numbers after that.
And then what if this is just an avenue for Netflix? Let's say Netflix does take it. So what if this is just an avenue for them to put more movies? So they reduce the window, but then they increase the amount that they put in theaters. So there's more variety and increase of like volume into the theaters as opposed to like the same movies all the time. So
right. Yeah, it's like, I mean, also we were seeing a lot of re-releases happening in theaters to try to get people back into the theaters. So like that's been happening for the last couple of years now. And like I said, I think this can be a good thing if done right. Not a great thing, is like you said, the better of two evils. But ultimately, as when studios take over other studios, it's never great. It has the potential of being something. And now within the next 3 years, we're going to see some changes. What happens to HBO? What happens to HBO Max? Are we going to be calling? Is Netflix going to be taking over? And it's very similar to Disney that we're seeing with Hulu. It would just be another tab on Netflix.
More than likely, it's going to be cheaper for them. And they say they keep it separate, but let's be real. Like it would be much cheaper for them to just rework their current app to just include the HBO Max library and it all be in one place.
Right. I think honestly, HBO Max will probably be gone.
Yeah.
It'll be the death of HBO Max. And then you would just see an HBO tab on your Netflix.
Yeah.
And be like, here's HBO content. Yeah. And hopefully it keeps up with it that we can get shows that even though I haven't watched it yet, but I heard nothing but great things about Task and starring Mark Ruffalo.
Oh,
and
yeah.
People are raving about that show, and I haven't seen it yet. Like shows like that is what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about the next season of Peacemaker or whatever James Gunn has in his mind. That show is going to get passed. Green Lantern's most likely going to get a season 2. Like Welcome to Derry, it's an IP. They're going to push those stories forward.
Yeah.
But Tasks, that's the one I'm worried about. Those are the shows that HBO shines, and we might not get another season, or they already renewed it for another season. But like newer shows, when people bring it to the table, do they have a fighting chance? And that's the stuff that I'm worried about. But again, maybe Netflix reduces the amount of content they put on the streaming service to put together more high quality HBO content. Then we'll see. Maybe one or less 2 documentaries. But HBO also has a lot of documentaries.
Yeah, they do.
So I don't know. Like I said, it's a give and a take. There's some pros, there's some cons. Either way, something is happening with HBO, and someone's gonna buy it. There's no way none of this happens. I'll be very shocked that in the next couple of months, he's like no deal went through, and Warner Brothers is still what it is.
Yeah, I think they're gonna need to take one of these deals. So I mean, something's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when and if.
And there's a lot of arising concerns. I believe the note went out from SAG and from the DGA, which is the Directors Guild, the Actors Guild, the Writers Guild. They all wrote a formal notice, and obviously this deal is going to be scrutinized and it's going to be combed over by very carefully to see if it even's allowed to be passing. So there's a lot of extra work in it, but this is going to be a story we're going to be talking about in the weeks to come and the months to come, really, to see what happens. But I think this was the first official drop of like something is happening. Here are official announcements. Let's see where it goes from.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Let's move on to some happier news. Filmmakers Matt Bettolini-Oplin and Tyler Gillette, known as Radio Silence, excuse me, let me back up. Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz are in talks to reunite for another Mummy adventure. This will be the first time the pair would do a movie together since 2001's The Mummy Returns. Matt Bettolini-Oplin and Tyler Gillette, known as Radio Silence, are set to direct the fourth installment in the decades-old action franchise. The Radio Silence are best known for directing 2019's Ready or Not, reviving the Scream franchise for Paramount in 2022, and 2024's horror comedy Abigail for Universal. No word yet of any other cast members will be returning. I think this is something that everybody wants. Everybody wanted this.
Yeah.
Although I am kind of interested because I'm pretty sure in the third one they changed the actress for the wife, and then now she's just gonna come back like, oh, you just look different again.
Yeah, that's Hollywood, baby.
It's Hollywood, baby. We're the same person. We look different.
Yeah. To me, this is great news. I think this should have happened years ago. First of all, Brendan Fraser has been on the rise after The Whale. We've been seeing him and his Oscar-winning role in The Whale. We've been seeing him in a lot more movies now, which is great. And I love Radio Silence as a directing duo. Ready or Not was great. Reviving the Scream franchise was good. Abigail was okay. They're also attached to direct the sequel to Ready or Not that comes out in the spring of next year. So probably after that movie, if I had to guess, this is probably the next one that's rolling right into it. And I think they worked with Universal before to create Abigail, which is like a spin on the horror vampire comedy genre, and I feel like this kind of fits right up their alley. Like I think they make really entertaining movies, and so I'm glad that they are attached to this and just bringing back the classic Mummy, which is beloved by many many fans of mainly the first two movies, and it has this great action adventure vibe. And if done right, I think this could be a very much happy return to this franchise.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's either going to be really good or really bad. So
Yeah,
I'm hoping for it to be good, but there's always an option. Like it really, like it always seems promising, and then if it's just not handled carefully, it just quickly goes the other way.
you're right, but Radio Silence has a good track record,
Yeah, yeah,
and so that's where my faith lies in the directors, and then hopefully there's a good story behind it.
yeah. I'm with you on
And who
that.
knows? Maybe other cast members might return. The Rock, he's available. He can come back as a Scorpion King.
Scorpion King. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that's one of his first acting roles. Was
That's
the
true.
Scorpion King.
That's true. That's true.
So why not bring him back? He's just doing Moana. Bring him back.
Plus everything else that he does.
Whatever that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very excited about this news. I hope I hope it's good.
Yeah.
I hope
Same.
it's good.
Same.
Moving on to Scarlett Johansson, which apparently is making a lot of headlines these past few weeks after the box office success of Jurassic World Rebirth. Hollywood is looking to her to star in some major franchises. The first one we're going to talk about is that she has signed a deal to star in the next Exorcist movie with writer-director Mike Flanagan for Universal and Blumhouse Atomic Monster. While Johansson's role is unknown, the film is described to be a radical new take on the franchise and will be set in the same universe as the 1973 film, but will not be a sequel to 2023's The Exorcist Believer.
Okay.
Which I think it's a big thing to notate because that movie did not do well.
Yeah, it's like that didn't
all.
exist. It just didn't. It's just gonna act like it didn't happen.
Right. Yeah. I believe that was David Gordon Green's proposed trilogy.
Yeah.
The Exorcist Believer was the start of a trilogy after him coming off of the Halloween trilogy, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends, which the first Halloween in 2018 was pretty good, and then they got 2 bad movies back to back.
Yeah,
Not great
not great.
at all. And then probably in the middle of all that, Universal and Blumhouse was like, we just spent $400 million on this Exorcist franchise, and we want you to headline the next 3 movies. And he's like, "Yep, I can do that." And then after I Believer came out, I was like, "You know what? We're not gonna continue with those movies.
I think we're good. I think we're good
I
on
think
that.
we're good."
It's like, yeah, let me like look at papers around. It's like, yeah, I don't think we're gonna do that anymore.
Yeah, and you know what? I never watched it. It
Same.
didn't look good. I recently, within the last 2 or 3 years or so, I watched the original Exorcist, and I did not like that either. And I was like, "You know what? The Exorcist isn't for me." And then, son of a bitch, Mike Flanagan's like, "Oh, I got a movie." I was like, "God damn it.
It's like, guess I gotta watch it now.
Now I gotta watch it." Shit, man. I wrote off this franchise, and you're like, "I have a take. I have a radical new take, apparently." Motherfucker, man. And I will watch anything that man does. And he has me gonna go watch the next Exorcist movie, which apparently will now star Scarlett Johansson, which is interesting because I don't see her as a horror actress. So this isn't.
Yeah, I think this will be different for her, but I could see it. I
Yeah,
mean, she's very versatile. She's just been, she's been like super Hollywood A-list, like massive franchise for a while. But I mean, she was the AI voice in Her.
she was, but also we were just talking about it. She was in Marriage Story and Jojo Rabbit.
Correct.
The same year that Avengers Endgame came out.
I mean, she's got range. So
She's
I see
definitely
it.
got range.
I could see it. I'm kind of curious about the other part of the story.
Oh yes, the other part. The second major headline is that Scarlett Johansson is in talks to star alongside Robert Pattinson in Matt Reeves' The Batman Part 2 in an unknown role. Filming is expected to start shooting in spring of 2026 for an October 2027 release date in theaters. Before I go to the next sentence, talk about that one. Uh, that is very interesting for Scarlett Johansson to then now be starring in a Batman movie.
It is. See, I've saw some speculation that it could be that she could be Andrea Beaumont, who is the ghost of the Phantasm, literally one of the best Batman stories ever fucking written.
How is that story as far as like? Do you think Scarlett Johansson would be a good fit for that?
Yes.
I don't. I'm not too familiar with.
This is her right here. You've never seen the animated movie? You need to do yourself a favor and watch that tonight. So as soon as we're done, Ghost, the Phantom Mask. What is it? I think it's Ghost of the Phantasm. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Or yes, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the speculation is that's who she could be. I don't see her replacing Zoe Kravitz.
No,
that would
the other part of this headline is that in the same headline it was reported that Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman is not expected to return for the film, according to sources with knowledge of the production. I agree with you. I do not think that she's replacing Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. I am a little bit surprised, however, that Zoe Kravitz is not returning as Catwoman, considering that she was a pivotal part in part 1.
Yeah, but I could see that. I mean, that part of the story is gone. Now she's gonna go off and like have her own adventure and do her own thing, and then she could come back for the third one.
Maybe. I feel like if you're bringing in Scarlett Johansson, it's not going to be for a small role.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, whether it be a villain role, a love interest. I've heard Vicky Vale thrown out there, who is a reporter. We'll see what ends up happening. I don't think we're going to get an official cast announcement for another couple of months.
What do you think? Maybe Poison Ivy. I could see her as Poison Ivy.
I can't see her being like that villain. Like I can't see her as a villain, to be honest with you. But again, between the Exorcist and the Batman potentially being in a villainous role, she is definitely expanding that range that we're not used to. And good for her. I mean, especially coming off of Jurassic World, and that made almost $800 million. She can basically be in whatever movie she wants, and they're going to pay her for it.
Guess
Um,
we'll see. I'm excited to see what's gonna come of this.
yeah, I do think it's an interesting choice for Scarlett Johansson to be in that movie specifically, because it's a much darker, a much darker story in like and also the competing superhero franchises. So, but yeah, I think between The Exorcist and The Batman, both two interesting roles that I am now more interested in those movies because of her involvement. And then moving on to staying with Universal. Well, I guess from the previous story, not really. Yeah, well, I guess with Blumhouse. Anyway, Universal Pictures is developing an Alice in Wonderland musical adaptation with Sabrina Carpenter starring as Alice. This would be Carpenter's first leading role in a major motion picture. The project is inspired by Lewis Carroll's 1865 novel Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, which is in the public domain. Lauren, S- I should have read this before.
Scafaria,
Scafari,
Scafaria.
Fafaria? Okay. Director behind 2019's Hustlers and 2012 Seeking a Friend from the End of the World, is on board to write and direct the film. Mark Platt, mega producer behind La La Land, Wicked, Cruella, Dear Evan Hansen, and Mary Poppins Returns, just to name a few, will be producing the project under his production company alongside Sabrina Carpenter. To me, this screams Universal wants another big musical under their belt.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's exactly what it's going to be. And is she gonna? I'm assuming she's gonna write all the music. Sabrina Carpenter's probably gonna write all the music,
Maybe.
and she has a massive following. So
Yeah.
I foresee this being another Barbie event.
Yeah, this to me, this is screaming, we want something else. We want another project to replace, after the huge success that Wicked is. We want something on the horizon to appeal to that same audience.
People love their musicals. Give them the music. They want
They
to come.
want the music.
They want to come to the movies and sing.
You give them the movie, 2 weeks later, you give them the single.
Yeah, exactly. We get to double dip. But
This is what the kids want. They want an artist. We give them an artist. They put them on the screen. We gave him Ariana. Now we want Sabrina.
I do wonder if this is going to be more for an everyone audience, or if this is going to be like an adult version of Alice in Wonderland. Like what version? Like what kind of Alice in Wonderland are we getting?
I think we can get a mix between the two. I don't think it has to be full, a kid story, but I think it could be more of a,
Like
you
Barbie
know,
almost.
yeah, I feel like it could be a little bit more adult. I can see that happening, but again, it's a musical, so again, around the same realm of Wicked, and with Alice in Wonderland, it's this girl going into this magical land of these weird and obscure fantasies that is happening when she goes down the rabbit hole. And so, yeah, this to me, this is extremely coded in the Wicked audience that
Mm.
we're trying to capitalize on. And with Sabrina Carpenter on board, it brings her fan base with her.
I think this can be massively successful if they do practical sets.
Mm,
Like if they take the time to really build this world with physical sets and not just like blue screen, then
yeah,
I foresee this, because that a part of Wicked for me, like if whatever you don't like, you have to appreciate the production design, like just the
for
amount
sure.
of work and care that it took to create all that. And I feel like Alice in Wonderland is like in the same arena. You can achieve the same goal because it's so weird and just so particular of how it needs to be shown, that
Hmm.
like you look at the one with Johnny Depp, that Alice in Wonderland, which is like primarily CGI, and it's just kind of weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that movie came out around 2010, so I believe if you went to go back and rewatch that, it doesn't hold up
I'm
as well.
sure. I'm sure it does
Uh,
not.
a movie that I actually recently watched in preparation of Wicked for Good that I don't think I talked about was I watched because I don't know, I just felt like the urge. I had no only because I was rewatching. I watched Wicked, I watched The Wizard of Oz, and then I was inclined to watch Oz, the Great and the Powerful, the Disney movie from the starring James Franco and
Mm,
Mila Kunis and Rachel Weisz and damn, what's her name? She was in Dying for Sex, Michelle Williams.
mm.
And it was directed by name escaping me. He did Spider-Man. Sam Raimi.
Mm.
And so I was like, "Oh, you know what? Does this movie hold up?" The movie's heavily CGI. Heavily CGI, and it's telling the story of how the wizard came to Oz, basically. Um, and so, like, I was like, "Okay, yeah, there's some good moments in here. It definitely more in line with a prequel to kind of fit nicely into if you were to watch The Wizard of Oz. However, it's very much dated. The movie came out in 2012, 2013,
Mm.
and yeah, you can see it, you can feel it. It's very heavy CGI movie that you're like, "Ooh, okay, that doesn't look as great as maybe it would have back in, that was the movie was 12 years ago. So we've definitely upgraded since then.
Oh, we've made some improvements.
Yeah. But yeah, but just like rewatching that, you're like, oof, some great stuff in there. But ultimately it's like it was a popcorn movie
Mm.
for for
Yeah.
for, for the people. And but yeah, I mean, to your point with Wicked, the best things to highlight is production design, costume design, and the performances. And I feel like if this Alice in Wonderland musical can do that, I think it'll be just fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It has
And the
potential.
and the music as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Sabrina, make that music good, which I'm sure she will.
Make it good.
Make it good. Make the people dance.
Make them get out of their seat. Give me some toe tappers.
I'm actually kind of excited for this next piece of news.
Yeah.
So, the Call of Duty live action feature film adaptation for Paramount and Microsoft's Activision has found its writers and director. Peter Berg, director behind Friday Night Lights, The Kingdom, Hancock, Battleship, Lone Survivor, Deepwater Horizon, and Patriots Day, has signed on to direct and co-write the film with Taylor Sheridan, creator behind so many Paramount shows, Yellowstone, Mayor Kingstown, Tulsa King, Lioness, and Landman, as well as a writer behind Sicario, Hell or High Water, and Wind River, High Water, fantastic films. Plot details in casting are still unknown. The announcement just comes days after news broke that Sheridan, one of Paramount's biggest creators, has signed a massive five-year overall deal for film, TV, and streaming with NBC Universal beginning in 2029. So this is kind of like his last hurrah, like peace out, bitch.
Yeah.
No, but well, who knows? Because if they've just gained this IP, he could be. I mean, they could be setting up to do like the next 3 movies.
Yeah, it's interesting that first we'll talk about the Call of Duty one. What a collection of creators this franchise ended up acquiring. We were talking about a few weeks ago when this news, well, I guess a few months ago when the news originally broke, that was like, oh, a Call of Duty movie. It could be interesting. It could be really good, like we mentioned before. It could be really good or really bad, depending on the creators that are behind it. And they are like going really grounded with
Yeah,
this Call of Duty. Like Peter Berg between Lone Survivor alone. That movie is extremely grounded. I believe it starred Bradley Cooper. No, Mark Wahlberg. Mark
yeah,
Wahlberg. Um, and like that movie was, very intense. And the Deepwater Horizon was also another great movie, very grounded, very intense. And now you have that director going into a Call of Duty movie with one hell of a creator of Tyler Sheridan between, and you watch more of his work than I have
yeah.
of like his I'm assuming it's gritty content. Like how would you describe his shows?
I guess gritty is a good word. Is a good word for it. It's also just very it's just action heavy. Like he just knows how to write action. He knows how to write good drama. Like he just writes really great, compelling characters. So for me, that's important because before this Call of Duty news, I was like, oh, it's fine. I didn't really care. But now that you
Right.
have these 2 creators attached to this project, but now I'm listening. Now I'm kind of very similar to how I felt. We were just talking about Exorcist. Like
Yeah.
I didn't give a shit about the Exorcist. But if you tell me that Mike Flanagan is making an Exorcist movie, well, now you have my attention.
Right. And I think it's crazy. Like it really depends on the hands that are developing there that are holding on to these IPs
Yeah.
because you're like, oh, Call of Duty, good for them. See what happens. And then you're like, we got Tyler Sheridan. It's like, I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
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 I mean,
Bro.
Lioness, and it's just like the way he shows like military and where he just shows all these different aspects that he taps into. You can just tell the care that he puts into creating these worlds and creating these characters. So for something as a massive IP as Call of Duty, I think that it's going to be handled with it's going to have to be handled with care.
Yeah, and I remember watching Hell or High Water, and man, was that an intense movie.
Oh, so good.
It was so good. Such a good movie.
I think I rewatched it like a year ago, and I was like, damn, this movie still holds up.
Yeah. And so, yeah, between those two, I think that's a great pairing to give us some high action, high stakes, compelling characters. It's like, all right, Call of Duty, you have my attention now.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it. This is
I'm gonna
something I'm
watch it
definitely going to watch. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and then the second half of this news is that Paramount, you could have given this man more money? What the hell is wrong with you? This is your golden child, man.
He's
He's
keeping
your money maker.
he's keeping Paramount Plus alive right now.
Yeah, no shit. And you're telling me that Universal is like, oh, we want that. We want that money. We want that. We want that content. We want you to do what you did over there for Peacock. Okay,
Basically, yeah.
we want that high intensity drama. We want people to have our streaming service other than Sunday Night Football. Um, because everyone was really itching for Bel Air season 4 that just finished.
Didn't you dropped off, didn't you? After the first season?
First season.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never continued after that. It was like too serious. It's like, I get it. You want to be a serious Bel Air. I get it.
We get it.
Carlton's doing like coke in a locker room. It's like, whoa, oh my God, we get it. He's not the nerd. He is a drug addict. Okay?
Why isn't he doing the dance? Why isn't he doing the Carlton dance? No, okay.
No, he is a super popular athlete who does coke. You're like, my God, okay, just fixing that camera there. Yeah, we don't need that. I didn't need it at all. I'm still out of focus. What's going on? Come on. Focus up.
You got it?
There we go.
There we go.
There
Yeah,
we're
he's
back.
in focus.
I'm in focus. You know what's not in focus? That coke in the back.
Carlton, what are you doing?
What are you doing, Carlton? Just do the funny dance. Be the nerd. Get the straight A's.
Yeah. This is not you.
It looks like you, but it's not.
It's not.
The real Carlton, he's hosting dancing.
I was just about to say he's dancing over there.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Anyways.
I fell off. I'm not. And apparently, Will Smith made a cameo at the end of the final episode. Spoiler. It got spoiled for me on social media.
Oh yeah, we were showing promo. He like walks up and he gives him the speech on how to do better in life. Like,
Yeah,
I didn't watch it, but you see the clip. That like clip is all over online. It's like, oh, you made a cameo. It's like, I remember somebody was asking, so like, is this a continuation? Is like Will Smith the dad now? I was like, I don't know. I actually don't know.
Will Smith was playing in the show context. He was playing an older version of himself. It's like, what does the future hold? And then like he's a manager, and then like his future self walks into frame, gives him some words of advice, saying we're going to be doing just fine. Then the Carlton comes over and was like, "Hey, you all right?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm just talking to," and then nobody was there. So that's how they ended the show. Hey, you get 4 seasons, nothing to scoff at, I guess. People are watching it.
Somebody watched it. I'm sure Will Smith watched it.
Oh yeah, well, he produced it. He executive.
I know.
Produced
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you had to give him something to do after what happened. But yeah, I think that's a huge loss for Paramount and Paramount Plus, because I do feel like he was the driving force of that streaming service.
Yeah.
And instead, now hopefully Universal could benefit off of that. However, for Universal and Peacock, we're probably not going to see anything come out of that deal until 2031.
Yeah. But that just means for the 2030s, he's gonna be dropping some bangers on NBC.
Yeah, seriously. But we're still in 2025.
Yeah.
So Paramount's like, we still got you for 3 years, bitch. Keep making those sequels, baby.
Hey, Call of Duty.
You want Call of Duty? We'll get you the Call of Duty. Yeah. Work on that franchise. We want that. You know what? While you're at it, give me another 4 more seasons of Yellowstone, 5 more of Mayor of Easttown. Throw in a couple of Tulsa Kings, and let's give us some life. Yeah. Before you leave, we're gonna work it like a fucking horse.
I mean, they just renewed for another season of Landman, which I've heard is with Billy Bob Thornton, which that's on my list.
Fantastic.
That's on my list to watch.
Yes, I mean, All of his shows are honestly on my list to watch. It looks great. Landman is a little bit higher than normal,
Hmm.
than some of the other shows we produce, but I mean, but anyway, going back to Call of Duty, this is very exciting. I do think there is some good potential here with the creators they put behind this, and again, very similar to The Exorcist. You have my attention.
Yeah.
Sticking with Paramount, a new Star Trek movie is in development at Paramount Pictures. We have heard this statement before,
Yeah.
but apparently, maybe this is one that's going to be maybe pushing forward a little bit faster than the others. Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly, the directing duo behind 2023's Dungeons and Dragons Honors Among Thieves and 2018's Game Night, as well as 2015's Vacation, will be writing, directing, and producing the new film. While plot details and casting have not been announced, the new movie is set to revive the franchise, or that's not the word. Revitalize. There we go. It's set to revitalize the franchise and will not be in a continuation of the J.J. Abrams reboot starring Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto, and will not be connected to any previous or current Star Trek series on Paramount Plus. This new project is the latest attempt after nearly a decade of failed efforts to bring Starfleet back onto the big screen. We've talked about this many times. Star Trek going back into theaters. The latest project that kind of failed was we've had, continuations off the J.J. Abrams reboot. At one point, Quentin Tarantino was rumored to write a Star Trek movie with the J.J. Abrams cast. And then eventually that fell through. And then it was Matt Shackman, who was the creator behind WandaVision, was then, moving over to take a stab at Star Trek until Marvel said, "Hey, we can give you more money to direct the Fantastic Four." And then he's like, "You know what? That's a great idea." But then he left that project, the Star Trek project, to go do Fantastic Four. And then again, it's been a long effort to try to bring it back to the big screen. And now here is the latest effort. I did like the Dungeons and Dragons movie, so there's potential here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I'm not getting my hopes up. So
That's fair. I mean, and all those movies we listed, they're comedies. Like Dungeons and Dragons is an action comedy, but Game Night and Vacation, they're straight up comedies.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
this, if they were going to make anything, will probably more in line with the Dungeons and Dragons route, which would be action comedy, which was not too far off from the J.J. Abrams reboot.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Those are more like action comedies.
Yeah, but well, again, we'll see what happens here with this. But I'm intrigued. But I agree with you. I'm not getting my hopes up yet until we start getting, some more.
Actors attached, some pre-production, like real pre-production. Like we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Johnny Depp is in talk to star as Scrooge in Ebenezer, A Christmas Carol, an adaptation of Charles Dickens's classic holiday story for Paramount Pictures. Horror director T.I. West from X, Pearl, and Maxine is set to direct the film with Nathaniel Halpern, creator of Tales from the Loop and writer of the episodes of Legion, writing the screenplay. Ian McKellen, Andrea Riseborough, and Tremel Tillman are also in talks to co-star. Should the deal close, the studio is looking to release the film on November 13, 2026. This announcement comes months after the news that Nosferatu director Robert Eggers is also developing his own take on the story at Warner Brothers, with William Dafoe circling the role of Scrooge. Yeah, I don't know why we need this. I mean, I don't know how many times different versions we have of this story. I'm not really interested in this version. I'm more interested in the Robert Eggers version just because of his style, and I think that he can bring. It's gonna be like almost like a gothic horror, is if I had to guess.
It's very, very strange that this announcement came out just mere months after Robert Eggers said he was doing this, because it's not that far off from each other. You have they're both horror directors, and you're both touting actors who are well renowned in their, with their work, a little bit older, a little bit weird. And like Willem Dafoe has done some weird shit, and
Hmm.
Johnny Depp is right up there with him. And they're both can some cases be very method in their, portrayal. I think both of them could be really good as Ebenezer Scrooge, but it's really interesting that both there are 2 different horror directors deciding to take their own spin on this classic tale. I I don't think we need both, and I'll be very interested to see, if they're trying to streamline this so they can beat Robert Eggers to the punch, because November 26th, 2026 is right around the corner, is literally a year away, and or less than a year away at this point, and we didn't really get a release date on Robert Eggers' version.
Yeah.
So,
And it kind of seems like they're rushing it because it doesn't even, I mean, in a year, they haven't, we'll see.
yeah, it's very interesting. And also, this might be, Johnny Depp's next probably biggest role in quite some time after everything that happened with the court cases, and then he did a film over in France, I believe. So this is this could be his comeback into being a lead in with an American audience. And that I'm excited for. I think, I love Johnny Depp as a character actor. He's done some great character work, and so I think he could be a great Ebenezer Scrooge. I think as far as creators are concerned, I agree with you. Robert Eggers is a better filmmaker in my opinion, and Ty West has definitely made some interesting movies with X and Pearl. But I don't think two of these. We don't need two of these movies. I'm curious to see if how if both these movies are coming out around the same time.
Yeah, especially if they're going to be very similar, since Ty
Yeah.
West does horror movies and Robert Eggers does horror movies too. So are we going to get two horror versions of this?
Right.
It's like,
And
why
then
do we
it's
need
different
that?
because I think we're always gonna get, A Christmas Carol stories, that's never gonna change, but at least, for example, one of my favorite movies that come out in recent years was Spirited,
Yes.
the musical with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds, and that movie I've watched several times around this time of year because yes, it's the classic tale, but it feels different, it feels fresh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I don't know if these 2 directors are gonna give us fresh. They might give us new takes, but I don't think they're gonna give us fresh takes,
No.
so we'll see how that turns out.
Especially since A Muppet Christmas Carol is will always be superior.
Oh, yeah, that's no question.
Yeah.
No one's touting that.
Exactly. Exactly. All right.
Sorry, you're next.
So, in others, this is really sad news. Paramount is putting a pause on the R-rated live-action adaptation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin, which was announced by the studio in 2024. Paramount has instead decided to move forward with a new family-friendly live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie from Sonic the Hedgehog producer Neil Moritz. Sources say the film remains in development as a project to revisit in the future, though it likely won't be anytime soon. Ela Neischuler, Nobody, Heads of State, and Hardcore Henry was in talks to direct the film. This is a story that I've always wanted to read. It gets super high praise about how great it is. So I was kind of excited to see this come to fruition. So yeah, I mean it's sad, and I guess we are going to get another live action Ninja Turtles. I'm kind of surprised, and I know we have another animated one from the Seth Rogen Ninja Turtles that he released a couple years ago.
Yeah, the part that baffles me is that they said they wanted a more family-friendly approach to the Turtles, which, one, they've always have been. Obviously, this franchise has always been for kids. There's no question about that. Um, they have the live action versions back in the day, and they haven't really taken a oh, no, they have. They gave us the Michael Bay versions of those movies. And it was like the CGI live action version with, Megan Fox and being April O'Neil and Stephen Amell being somebody. I
Casey,
forgot his name.
I think it's Casey
Yeah,
something. He's got
Casey. Yes,
he's got the hockey
and so,
mask.
that's right. Yeah, the hockey mask. And so, like, we've done that before. We've done now several live action movies, and now you're saying we want a more family friendly Sonic like. I mean, hell, you're getting the Sonic had the Hedgehog producer to spearhead this film. In my opinion, you already have a family-friendly version of the Turtles. It's called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. It's great. It was a fun movie, great for the kids. I think we can live in a world where we can have that be your focus because the animation was also great. I
Mm-hmm.
love that movie. Why can't this exist too? And unless the story wasn't coming together the way they wanted to,
Yeah.
but on paper, it's a no-brainer. Like, give us like I think this movie could have done really well.
Oh, it would have. I think it would have done really well, and maybe we may be getting it later on. Who knows? Who knows? But I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
they're going for the safer bet as opposed for the gamble.
which is I get it. I get it. You're right. It is a safer bet. But also, the director behind Nobody was attached to this.
Come
Come
on,
on, man. Like we just raved about Heads of State a couple, about a couple months ago in our What You Watching. We love
that's
that movie.
right.
And then we were surprised to find out that he was attached to it. Like he does great action.
Yeah,
And it's crazy to see that like, damn, what could have been. Sure, this movie's still in development, but like this
it's
is
gonna.
like this sounds like a 5-year plus now.
Yeah, it's in like development hell. Like it'll be
Yeah.
forever before we see anything come from this.
Some
If we
and they're
do,
gonna have to do like a Deadpool situation where like, hey, we're not gonna really move forward with a solo Deadpool movie, and then they had to leak some footage that came out, and then they're like, oh wow, people like this.
yeah,
And guess what? That turned into $1 billion franchise. You were letting $1 billion sit on the table because you don't think people are gonna want something that clearly people are asking.
exactly.
So I'm not saying this is gonna be $1 billion, but like it could be a moment.
It would have been.
So it's very frustrating. It's very sad to hear this. And it was like a year ago. We all had our hopes up.
I know we were so excited. I remember when we talked this news, it was exciting. But
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah, moving over to Warner Brothers as we, kind of bookend our new segments. Warner Brothers is officially reviving the Gremlins franchise with the new installment scheduled to hit theaters November 19th, 2027. Mark your calendars. Filmmaker Chris Columbus, the director behind Harry Potter 1 and 2, Home Alone 1 and 2, the Peter Jackson, I think the first movie,
hmm
and the writer behind the original Gremlins film is set to direct a sequel. Zach Lipsky,
Lebowski.
Lebowski, and Adam Steen, the directing duo behind Final Destination Bloodlines, will co-write the screenplay. Steven Spielberg will return as executive producer. I love Christopher Columbus. I think he makes great movies, and the fact that he was part of the original, one of the original writers behind it, I think he has grown as a filmmaker. Clearly, he gives us classic with Harry Potter and
hmm
Home Alone just alone, and I think it's about time for a Gremlins sequel. I'm okay with this.
I love Gremlins. I loved Gremlins movies when I was growing up, so I'm here for it. I'm here to see what the next installment of that is.
Yeah, I think this is. I think a lot of people have been probably asking for a sequel to this, and I think this is a good. I think this can be good. A good opportunity, and also, again, the directing duo behind Final Destination Bloodlines writing that screenplay. That was a good movie. That
Very
was a
interesting that
surprisingly good movie.
so is it interesting that they're signing on to this project?
Yes. So I don't know what the rating is of this movie, but I think they have. I think they're good with chaos, and that's what Gremlins is. So, and also, the imaginative mind of Christopher Columbus, I think it could be an interesting pairing. But yeah, I feel like this is a long time coming, and I think that's Gremlins is a good, and especially if Netflix gets a hold of them, yeah, they're gonna definitely push this Gremlins.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm actually really excited for this, kind of rounding out our news segment. Jim Carrey, who technically retired, is in talks to star in a live action The Jetsons movie for Warner Brothers Pictures. Colin Trevorrow, Jurassic World and Jurassic World Dominion and Safety Not Guaranteed, is in talks to direct the film, with Joe Epstein, showrunner of HBO's The Idol, in talks to write the screenplay. Plot and other casting details are still unknown. The Jetsons first aired in 1962, spanning 75 episodes across 2 decades, with Jetsons the movie being the last animated feature to premiere in theaters in 1990. Yeah, I remember growing up watching reruns of the Jetsons. It was always a great show. So it's kind of interesting to see like Jim Carrey's just like, I don't care. I'll do another kids movie. I'll go have some fun. That's basically what like every movie he does. He's just having fun. I mean, in the last Sonic movie, he had this whole dance sequence with himself. It was, I mean, it was wild. But you know what? I was here for it.
To your point, he's just having a good time. Like he's like, I just want to do fun movies. Like nothing serious, nothing groundbreaking. I'm not looking for, I'm not looking to change the, he's already had a career.
Yeah.
He's made himself cemented into film history. Why not have some fun? The Jetsons, however, I thought that was a dead franchise.
It's interesting to see them try to bring this back.
Yes.
I mean, who knows? Maybe this could work, or it could be a flop. I mean, I don't know.
I don't think anyone knows the Jetsons anymore. If you're saying the last time it hit theaters was in 1990, like
kids today are not going to know who that is. It's going to be older people. It's going to be retired people like our parents' age, and then our age for people who kind of know who the Jetsons are. Those are the people who are going to go see this movie, and people who know who Jim Carrey is.
It's going to be targeted to children, though.
Yeah, but it's going to be people forcing their kids to go see it. They're not going to be like, "Oh, I want to go see the Jetsons. I'm so hyped." I'm like, no, there's not going to be that. But who knows? We'll see what the push is and what the trailer looks like for this.
Yeah, I do feel like this is under a similar vein if they also announce that there's a Flintstones movie coming out. It's like it's not really relevant anymore. So like it had its moment and it can live as classic animated cartoons. But trying to revive it, it feels like you're just kind of dipping in the barrel.
It's like,
like which IP? What? Oh, yeah, we can make a movie out of this one,
like,
right?
Blow the dust off. What's that say? The Jetsons? Anybody else seen that? Oh, you did? All right. Well, let's try.
Yeah. You know what we're not gonna do? We're not doing any more Looney Tunes because that's still relevant, and yet we're shelving those movies. You know what? Going back to Netflix for a little bit, maybe you know what Netflix hasn't done? Put movies on the shelf and let it sit there. They're like, nah, we got a streaming service. Put that shit on there.
Just put it on. Hey, it doesn't work in the theaters. Put it online. Either nobody will watch it or everybody will watch it.
We'll take the gamble.
It's worth the gamble.
Well, it is what it is. Like people see it, don't see it. It's on there. People paying. How much for a monthly subscription? $50.
Oh, that's what it's gonna be. That's what we're already working our way there.
Yeah. $50 a month. Man, I love my Jetsons.
Oh man.
Oh, that Bugs Bunny. Yep. They've made 5 sequels only on Netflix. I love it.
He's the greatest. And then there's a documentary about it. The making of
Bugs Bunny, directed by Daffy Duck. I love it. Oh man. All right. Well, that's all the news we have for you guys this week. Again, it's been kind of an encompass, kind of rounding out all of the news segments. These are the important stories that kind of, feel like we can something that interests us. Not every piece of news we talk about. But the stories that interest us, kind of compiling in the last 2 months or so and kind of rounding out the year of kind of some of the major headlines that come out in this entertainment industry. As always, you can follow us on our social media channels and get all the news over there on our Facebook page at Box Office Bingers and our Instagram and Threads page at Box Office _Bingers. We will continue to post all the entertainment news over there on those channels, and then eventually we'll come back on the show and we'll talk about it. And so with that, and also just as a disclaimer, a lot of awards talk has been coming up. The National Board of Review released their honorees, as well as the American Film Institute did the same. The Critics' Choice Awards released their nominations, and the Golden Globes have released their nominations. I felt like it was going to be too much to put that all in one episode. So next week we're going to fine tune that that conversation of having more of an awards talk in our news segment and seeing what kind of the lay of the land of what's happening with these nominations and what we can expect to the movies we're going to be talking about moving forward. So look forward to that in the coming episodes as we are diving into the award season. But with that, we're going to be diving into our spoiler review of the week, which is again another movie that's being talked about in the award season. Jay Kelly, written and directed by Noah Baumbach, starring George Clooney and Adam Sandler. Ernesto, your thoughts on the film?
So, I actually really enjoyed this movie. I didn't think I was gonna like it, But I don't know. They just kind of see the very opening scene. You have that one shot when where they're on the set and kind of going through like basically what it looks like on set and watching him shoot this scene and and then he's like, well, I can do another. Well, I can do another. And it's like, well, take 7 was it. And it was just it was very interesting to like everybody's ready to go because as soon as they shot that scene, they're like, all right, that's a wrap, let's go. Like everybody packed up and left. So they literally were just waiting for him to finish the scene to his liking. And it really sets up that, I mean, to me, Jay Kelly is George Clooney. This is how he's literally like a movie about him because everybody around the world knows who George Clooney is. He's got to have a team on him. So it kind of felt very meta. And obviously it's not directly about him, but it felt like very much about him. I mean,
it was very meta. They were showing his past movies at the very end of the movie as they were honoring Jay Kelly for his legacy in Hollywood.
Yes.
But yet they were showing all of George Clooney's movies.
Yes.
In that same scene. So yeah, it went a little meta and a little bit of like, oh, these are Jay Kelly's movies, but they're actually George Clooney's movies. Yeah, it's George Clooney basically playing an elevated version of himself in that regard.
And I'm always wary about like movies about really rich people complaining about being rich. Like to me, that's what that was. Like, I'm so lonely. And then he's got like people like handing him drinks. He's got his own personal team. Like he's tracking his daughter to Italy and just choosing we don't have first class. Like, I don't know. It's like those kind of things. Sometimes they can really rub you the wrong way. But I felt like Jay Kelly, the movie really focused on who he was as a person. And like, that was just a part of who he was. Like they didn't really focus on that part. Like, it was more of him reflecting on like how much his career overtook his life and how that hindered his relationship with both of his daughters and kind of going through the flashbacks of different decisions he made in his life and how that led to him being to where he is, where, he's backpacking across Italy to track his daughter down and trying to spend time with her one last time. And, realizing that he doesn't really, all the friends that he has around him are like, they're there because they more or less work for him. Except for like Adam Sandler's character, who I have to give kudos to. I thought he was phenomenal in this movie. I thought he played his role really well. He was still kind of like himself. Like it was very Adam Sandler-esque on how he acts. But it just, to me, it really fit well. Like I really love the beginning, where he's talking about his friend who died, who helped him. He's the guy who helped him become this epic actor. And he didn't even want to help him in the end. Like he's telling him that he needed this. And he's like, I just need you to lend your name. But Jay Kelly was so worried about himself and his ego at that point, like before he goes on this kind of like journey of exploration, that he couldn't even be bothered to help his friend who helped him. And like we saw in a flashback, that actor, like he picked him up out of the line and had him continue read a scene from somebody else who was doing the casting. And, that literally changed his life, but yet he couldn't reciprocate that to him at the end of his life.
Yeah. It's, I feel like we watched like 3 different perspectives, I want to say, happening within this movie. And it's kind of all surrounding around the legacy of Jay Kelly, with the perspective of Jay Kelly himself being this egotistic superstar, but not realizing that he is that way. And like he is self-reflecting on his career and how his decisions as an actor and a leading man in Hollywood, like you said, affected his relationship with his daughters and his subsequential, wives and the divorces that they mentioned in the movie. And then there's also another aspect of it where like you almost like you are never what's the word? Feel sympathy for Jay Kelly, but the movie is trying to allude that we should, but also shouldn't feel sympathy for him because it's his own decisions that led him down this path. And we can see that, but also it's being presented in a way that we should feel sorry for him because he is, he is like some of the things are out of my control, but he was chasing the career, and that's what he wanted. But there were sacrifices to be made there. So like you almost feel sorry he didn't have a deeper connection with his daughters, but also at the same time they're showing you how we got here, so you shouldn't really feel sorry for them either. And I feel the same with Adam Sandler. Those are decisions you have also made to go along with your career. And apparently there was another relationship happening with Laura Dern that apparently they could have steamed up to have a relationship together, but because they were career focused and Jay Kelly is their number one priority, it affected them for them to have a relationship and be together. But also, it continues to affect Adam Sandler because he dives so heavily into Jay Kelly's success and so much work that he puts into it is affecting his family that he has. And like we see that duality go back and forth. And but again, I don't feel really sorry for Adam Sandler either because you are both instinctively making decisions to elevate your passion for the craft that you are either being a producer or an actor.
Yeah, only way there was one part where I did feel bad for Adam Sandler, and that was it was toward the ends when he told them that his other client, he was talking to his wife, and he said, my
Mhm.
other client let me go, and he's trying to talk to her so he can be sued. He's like, I'm alone in Italy, like I just got fired from this, like I just need you to tell me you love me, and if you know in
Mm,
that scene, she never says it back. She
yeah.
never says it. She goes like, "Is it Jay? Is it Jay? Is it? Do we still have Jay?" And then like passing that message along to like the kids and the family. It's like showing like, well, you don't care about him either. You just care that he still has his cash cow. Like that you're just so worried of that he still has this connection to this person because if he loses him, then you all lose your lifestyle. That's kind of how that was like how I perceived it. And it was interesting him going through that and him asking you know, for his wife to be there for him, and yet he just left this woman who clearly loved him. So he sacrificed real love for the comfortability that he has in there. And I'm sure he, in the movie they perceived that he loved his kids obviously and he loved his family, but that it was still weighing on him on the life that he could have had he followed his heart and not
Right.
his career.
But also there's an element of like, hey, you decided to leave in the middle of your father-daughter tennis tournament
Yeah.
that you guys are hyping up toward the beginning of the movie. Like, oh, I'm not going to be here tomorrow. We have this tournament, where she's practicing. In the middle of the tournament, he just ups and leave because Jay Kelly was having a mental breakdown, so to speak. Like he was making radical decisions, and like he had to be there. And those are the choice. That's a choice he made.
But now thinking back on that scene, so he's playing and his wife is the one who answers the phone.
That's
So
fair.
she's the one who's
That's
like,
fair.
"Oh, it's about Jay," almost like and like prodding him, like, "Hey, you're like you're gonna have to take this call.
Yeah.
You can't let this up." And then like blaming and then using that to blaming him, like the foot doctor says that your stress is making her foot swell. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, what? I also there's what I really enjoyed the whole interaction between George Clooney and Billy Crudup and like their whole
Mm,
his character and like how he was an old actor friend because his meeting him like after the funeral, it really showcased just how disconnected Jay Kelly was because like he was like, oh yeah, you can he's Adam Sandler's, I think his name is Ron, he's telling Ron like, oh, Ron's like, oh, you can just call me and then I can get you and we can get it scheduled. But he's so famous he can't even be out with normal people because and then I think that's when Jay has this moment. It's like, oh, well, I'll go. It's like, nah, everybody else can go home. Like
yeah.
I should be able to. And then in his mind, I think he really thought it's like, oh, I can just go to dinner with an old friend of mine and it should be fine. And then as soon as he gets there, he's taking pictures of people and like people are stopping him. And it's like, I bet that's probably what it's like. Like they can't just go out and like be out in the world with us because they'll get bombarded by so
Mhm.
many people who will appreciate them and he doesn't even know who these people are.
Yeah, Billy Crudup's character name is Timothy.
Timothy.
Ron was Adam Sandler.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, yes. But what I really loved about that scene is that he's telling him, he's like, oh, I'm a parent now, I'm a child therapist. he goes, and he says, we are only successful when we make ourselves irrelevant. And this is when he's talking about, parenting, like the joys of
Right.
parenting. I mean, there is some truth to that. It's not necessarily making yourself irrelevant. It's just realizing that there's these people who are way more important than you, than anything else that you want to do or need to do, that you think you need to do. What's important is these human beings that you've brought into the world that you're not responsible for taking care of. So it's like, he could have continued to pursue his dream, but this is where the difference between Jay and Timothy is, where they both had kids, but Timothy chose his family over his career, even though clearly they showcased that he was probably the more talented. Just Jay probably just had a better look. And to me, that was kind of my takeaway from that, because, he was so, even Jay, this mega movie actor, was still so amazed at how he could work. Like, he had him read the menu and do like this emotional thing with it. And he was able to do it at like the drop of a hat and able to deliver so well. And then watching Jay appreciate that. So it's like in his mind, even though he's the bigger star, he still idolized him and his dedication that he could have bring to the craft. But yet Jay was the one who was more successful. And then obviously we see that roll into the fight that they have and that Timothy was obviously, he's been, what's the word? He's basically like despised him ever since, because
he's kind of holding this grudge.
Yeah, he holding this grudge, even though, in the flashback, it's very clear that he was nervous and that's why he didn't get it. But Jay Kelly was able to deliver and not be nervous. And even though I think the messed up part is that he used the notes that he wanted to use for himself, that Timothy wanted to use for himself, Jay used it for himself, and he used that to his advantage. So of course, I mean, he held that grudge. He felt like he took that opportunity away from him, and that's the thing that skyrocketed his career. So imagine,
but did he take that opportunity away from him? Because nothing stopped Timothy from saying that line. Granted, Jay Kelly did steal it from him, but
he sees
didn't have the guts to say it. Yes, he sees the opportunity.
Yeah. Jay Kelly sees the opportunity where he saw that Timothy was not going to, because they even show, like when he's reading with him, that his hands are shaking and he's kind of shuddering. But unfortunately, this is the time. Like, you gotta put up or shut up. Like, this is that moment. You only have a second, and you're either gonna fail or you're gonna succeed. And then we literally saw both sides of that in that flashback.
Yeah, and I can see where the grudge comes in, obviously, specifically when he stole the line that he said. He's like, I really want to say this. It's like, then you're gonna have to have the guts to say it.
Yeah.
And take that risk. At least you said that you did it. At least you said that you attempted it. But Jay Kelly did that risk and then, skyrocketed his career. And like, yeah, I can see the difference, but I don't think Jay Kelly just sees an opportunity, whereas Timothy kind of failed at that opportunity, even though he was the one that got the audition. So that's part of the business. That's part of the business that, I think that was a good way of kind of showcasing that in the movie. And you said a lot there also with Timothy as well. I thought it was interesting that he kind of had like this kind of playful, like reminiscing conversation between two college, or like either two friends who went to college or they did the same acting classes. But it was like them kind of reflecting on that and how much he missed it. And it seemed like to a certain point, Timothy was enjoying this conversation, unless he was lying and just kind of waiting for his time to strike. Because there was a moment that it kind of felt a little bit out of nowhere, where all of a sudden he's like, "Well, you son of a bitch!" And like, I'm not sure if he got a little drunk. It doesn't look like it, but like you can definitely tell that he was been holding this back. But he was, for whatever reason, being friendly at the beginning of all this and willing to read the menu for him and kind of um, play to what Jay Kelly wanted. But ultimately, he was like, kind of turned on him very quickly.
Well, yeah, I think there was an aspect like this death brought them together, and maybe a small part of him was like, well, let me see if I can make bygones with bygones. And then I think it was just some point in the conversation where he just triggered him the wrong way. Yeah. And then that's when just started the down spiral. It's like, your daughter hates you. She reached out to me and I gave her therapist. And I think that's what set him off, because that's the therapist. Yes. Because then we later find out that's the therapist who who made his daughter read this letter to him and like
Yeah.
really put him on the spot in this group therapy session. Um, but yeah, I like that interaction just because it really showcased like who Jay Kelly was as a person and what he was willing to do to the people around him. And we see that later on with Laura Dern's character and Ron, Adam Sandler's character, before she leaves. It's like, you know, when you mean something to somebody else and they don't feel the same for you, it's like you don't see that. Like he doesn't, like you didn't even go to his daughter's graduation.
Mm.
It's like, when was the last? And then and it's funny because leading up to all of that, he doesn't really like ask him about him. He doesn't really inquire about him. It's more of how Ron can take care of Jay. It wasn't until the very
Yeah.
end, after everyone left him, including his own father, who
Yeah.
was there. Like, you know, he had a fall, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna leave," and then he just fucking leaves.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at those moments, you can kind of feel bad for Jake Kelly for everyone leaving him,
But not
but
really.
also, but yeah, he did it to himself.
Yeah. Like you feel bad because this is the life that I think where I feel bad is that this is the life that he put himself into, and he's only now realizing the repercussions of his actions. Is that
Right.
he's missed out, that there's so much on life that he missed out. Like literally there was another moment when where he's shooting that film with that woman and that kid, and the
Right.
daughter brings it up about, you know, first the daughter brings up that it was very hard for her to see her father be this picture perfect dad on a movie screen when he was not, you know, when he wasn't even there for them. So I can only imagine like how hard is that to, like, can you imagine watching that? Like, where's
Yeah.
this person? Like, why isn't this person my dad? You know,
And what's crazy about that scene is that we went to the perspective of the therapist first,
yes.
of like, you know, seeing how his daughter felt about all that when they went to therapy. And then we see Jay's perspective of like he felt like he had a real connection, like he felt like he had a real family on set. He said that he stayed there longer than he needed to so he can just keep the fantasy going. Like he wanted to, like he can see a life with his co-star, and like, you know, they brought the kid in just so they can be together for a longer period of time. It was like it was the excuse, and they were having this nice playful moment between scenes where they're playing cards, and like they're kind of having this playful banter, and like he enjoyed being there and would delay what it sounds like some of the filming and stay there longer than actually being with his family, like his real family.
What
And I think that's an interesting distinction of, like, he feels his most himself when he's acting.
when he's pretending to be someone else.
Yes.
Which is so there's a couple things that I want to unpack from that. Number one is it reminds me of when Jay Kelly's theater teacher was talking to him about how hard it is to actually be yourself, that it's much
Yes.
easier to pretend to be somebody else. And that's a quote that he references later to the girl who's kind of like grilling him when he's talking to all the people on the train, and there's one girl who's kind of like cynical and
Yes.
kind of drilling him, and he brings that quote back up too. So I think that kind of reiterates that point too. But what's interesting about that flashback is that at no point in that flashback did he really talk about him missing his family. It was all about his experience on set. None of it was like, let me call my wife, let me call to see how my daughters are doing. It was all about his experience by himself, experiencing on this love interest that he had with this woman. And then interesting enough, afterwards, she, you know, he talks about how she left acting. Like that was almost a point where he probably could have left acting and could have lived a life with this woman. Like he could have left acting, lived with her, and he probably would have been fine for the rest of his life and probably had a better relationship with his kids. But it was like, it's interesting that this one event in his life is tied to like so many different people as like a turning point. That could have been such a big turning point for him.
Yeah, and I think also we get that interesting juxtaposition of, Patrick Wilson's character who played Ben, who was Adam Sandler's other client,
Yes.
where at the very end, where they're also both being awarded the same award after Jay Kelly denied it, and then they gave it to Ben Alcock, who was played by Patrick Wilson, and then they're like, well, Jay Kelly wanted to attend now, so then they were giving out two awards and stuff like that, and all of the rushing that went into making the trophy, which is another aspect of the film that we'll get to in a second. Like everyone's bending backwards for this man to make sure that he's happy because he is who he is as a star, and he doesn't really give a shit about anyone else's hard work. He only cares
Yes.
about himself.
Hmm.
However, to the very end of the movie where he's like running aimlessly in the woods and the car comes over and it's literally Ben Alcock and his like entire family here to support him for achieving this award, and he has like 2 or 3 vans of people that he's bringing over, and he was like, "Hey, actually, do you have any tickets to spare?" Not everyone's able to make it in, and, and that just goes to show of how somebody else who maybe did not have a successful career as Jay Kelly, but he has this lovely family supporting him every step of the way, as opposed to Jay Kelly, who literally he has nobody.
Yeah, like
And but yet
he
he has this stardom that
yes.
people respect, but he doesn't have the love outside of his fans.
Yeah, Ben Alcock, he may not have more career success, but he has a much fuller life. I mean, he was
Yeah,
literally, he's like, yeah, I got my uncle here, my brother-in-law's here, like I got my whole family's here. And Jake
yeah,
Haley's like, well, you can have all my tickets, just leave me one. And even that, he had to fight for Ron, Adam Sandler's character, to come back with him. And of course he did. And of course,
yeah,
because whereas they are probably the same, which is probably now it makes a little bit more sense. They're both just so addicted to the career because everybody else left, but the two of them are made for each other. They kind of say we're in this together.
yeah. And then I think Adam Sandler made a really good point toward during the party that happened the day before the ceremony, I guess.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Excuse me, where he was like they were bending backwards for him to get into this movie, and also the lawsuit that was about to happen with Timothy, and then he's like, oh, we were on the phone all night and we were able to Jay Kelly never appreciates any work that anyone puts to gives him. He just thinks like things just magically happen. So like when he makes a decision, like, you know what, I don't want to make that movie anymore. He doesn't really care or understand the repercussions of that decision. But so
yeah.
then you have all these other people behind him trying to like coast him into be like, no, 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 we it took us months to get this deal, and you want to just throw it away just like that? Like hell no.
It's
Like
like
we're not doing that.
yeah, I like kind of loved how he kind of went into the details with it because you can almost feel his frustration. It's like, I'm sorry, they wrote this part for a 35-year-old man. You didn't have to go to their tequila bar and sit with them and like all
Right.
that time that he could have been with his family and like just for you to turn this shit down, like you're like you have to do this movie. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like all this
Like
work and all these other people have done all this. They pushed back the fitting. Like, you know, it may sound like whatever. It's like, oh, he needs that exploration, but like, what about all these other hundreds of people who have to work for a living? Like,
which which goes into another conversation about Ben Alcock, where he was like, "Yeah, Adam Sandler's character Ron just wants to be his friend, but my friend doesn't take 15% of my pay." So, are all these people who are claiming to be your friends for Jay Kelly, is he looking at it as a financial situation where it's like, these people just work for me.
yep,
Like I can do whatever I want, but these people work for me. But then eventually you kind of burn them in a way. But they're upset because they're not getting because they did all the work and you're saying no. But is it okay for Jay Kelly to say no? Because it's his life. Like you don't tell me what to do. I pay you to tell me what to do, but I also am my own man. So like
yeah,
there's an interesting
there,
dynamic
there,
there.
there is that, but there is also this like you've put yourself in this situation, so now you've entangled all these other people into your business. So now you can like you're almost like you're a business owner and like you have to hire these people. So you're just gonna let all these people off. Like that's like the CEO of the company, like, I just don't want to do it. I don't want to run this company anymore.
Mhm.
So you're off. We're all just everybody can go home. They're all fired. Everybody's done.
Right.
So it's like, but yeah, you can do that, but should you do that? Or
Right. It's a respect thing. Like you're respecting your peers, you're respecting your in this case your coworkers, your people who
your
you call
employees?
family, your employees. Like it's all about respect. But clearly he didn't have that for anybody else. Even at the very end, it's never like they are both looking on the screen. And I think Jay Kelly said a really good line when he was trying to convince Adam Sandler to stay. And he was like, "Hey, this is not just my achievements that they're recognizing. It's our work." And he's right. It takes a village to make a movie. and like his efforts are also maybe not physically shown on the screen, but that hard work and what you did behind the scenes matters too. So when these actors are getting awards and he's been with his manager for almost his entire career, yeah, this is the manager also reflecting on his life as well. And they're both looking at it, it's like, wow, or like they're probably seeing it in a different light. It's like, oh, look at for the audiences, like, oh, look at this great story and these great stories that he was able to put together. But as far as the managers and the actors are concerned, as we've seen in Jay Kelly when he was reflecting on some of his past moments, is like, well, look at these are memories. Even Jay Kelly said in the beginning of the movie is like, my memories are based on the movies that I made. Like that's my life. And I'm sure the same for Adam Sandler as well. It's like the memories of my entire life are in these movies. Like I can recall certain aspects of the filmmaking process or what it took to make this scene happen or get him on board. And so like I think that was a, like, these two people are very career driven and like they're already all the way out here. You might as well see it through.
And I also thought it was really interesting at the end of the movie. So we get all these different flashbacks, and in this environment where he's confronted with all his past work, it actually leads to a memory of his daughters performing before he goes to leave on a set. Like before he's going to go shoot a movie, it leads to this flashback of his two daughters on stage doing the Kelly and Kelly show, and they're like begging him to stay, to be a part of, to just be present with them. And that, that's really, out of anything, that's what your kids ask of you. You just even if whatever it is that they care about, you just sit there and listen. And like that's what it made me think of, and I just thought it was really interesting that at this point, and then it leads to the very end of the film, which I actually really love the way it ended, because it's kind of very bookend to how the movie began. He's asking to redo that scene, and where he looks, and then it comes to the end, and he directs to the camera. He's like, I think I can do another. Can I get another? Like almost like asking for another chance to redo his life.
Oh, that's so interesting you saw it that way, because I didn't see it as that.
No?
He's like, no, I saw it as like, can we do it one more time? Meaning the same life. Like I had zero regrets.
Ooh.
See, I took it as like he is taking so much pride in his career that he wouldn't have changed it for the world, even though he has regrets. Like in the sense of like to me, I took it as, can I do this again? Meaning, can I do another movie? Is it okay if I do another movie again? Because I love this feeling right now.
Oh,
But
interesting.
it was, you're right, cut to like, him like leaving as his daughters are literally performing for him. And he was like, yeah, you guys have fun. And then he's like actively leaving. And then eventually he kind of stays for the brief moment that he did, I guess. And it could have been like taken as like, hey, can I do this again? I'm not sure if you can look up to see if there was any type of meaning behind the ending of that movie, to see if Noah Baumbach had something to say about that. But I find it really interesting that we took basically two different perspectives out of that ending, because I saw it more of like he's learned nothing from his whole experience of like, I just love being an actor.
Yeah, only reason I say that is because we spent a lot of the movie of him talking about how much regret. I mean, we get off the phone and his wife, his daughter basically told him, it's like, you weren't there. This is what you did. So now, like, I'm fine with my life, and I'm fine. And she literally tells him, I'm fine not having you in my life. And that,
Yes.
to me, that's got to be the most devastating thing you could ever hear as a parent.
Let's see if there's anything.
I'm looking. All right. Okay. All right. So Baumbach has described
Yeah, you're right.
this finale as the emotional and conceptual core of the film, one he conceived early in development. In multiple interviews, he emphasizes, and I did a grok search on this, he emphasizes that the line and its delivery were fixed from the start, with the rest of the story built around it, which I actually really love that. I had the line for the ending, and I knew how I wanted it delivered. I didn't know where it was going to be, or how I was going to do it, or who exactly was going to say it. He elaborated that the scene captures the tension between cinema's illusion of immortality, freezing stars in time, and the reality of aging and loss. Movies and movie stars create a sense of immortality, but it also shows the passage of time. Let me see. Okay, on the meta layer of the fourth wall break, where Jay's direct address to the camera blurs the line between performer, character, and audience, Baumbach called it a way of directing the mirror back at the audience. He reverse engineered the film to reach this beat, viewing it as a valedictory reckoning. One way of looking at Jay Kelly is that I reverse engineered an entire movie just to get this last line. The openness of the delivery leaves room for interpretation, as Baumbach prefers endings to be endings that must be open because the character still has time left. The past cannot be written, yet the future can. Baumbach filmed Clooney's real-time reaction to the montage reel for authenticity, noting that it evoked raw feelings about Clooney's own career. This is the first take. Oh, okay. So in the film, when he's watching it, this is the first take of George watching his own. So this is actually the first time he ever watched his own tribute reel. Critics have praised the scene's bittersweet emotional punch and so self-indulgent, aligning with Baumbach's post-Barbie embrace of playful, fourth wall breaking elements.
Yeah, I'm reading here the line. It said, "Can I go again? I like another one." That's the line.
Yeah.
And it says here, expressing a deep regret for missing family moments and a desire to redo his life, confirming his choice of fame over family left him isolated despite his success. Basically, exactly what you said.
Yeah, but that was like my only because the way just everything leading up to it, just it almost was like leading to like a tragedy almost. It's like
Yeah.
you're supposed to be like you think he's being happy with the dichotomy of that is that we're leading up to him being like idolized. They're tributing him. He's getting this statue. All these people are coming to see him, and he's like couldn't be more miserable.
Yeah. Like, the people who came to support him was the fans that he met on the train.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and Adam Sandler. And all the people that he was working for him all left him
Yeah.
for one reason or another.
Yeah, he begged.
And
He begged him. He begged Ron, Adam Sandler's character. He begged him to come with him.
And then also, I mean, throughout the movie, his eldest daughter wanted basically nothing to do with him, and we were showcasing that. The daughter that he tracked out in Italy said, he's like, "Oh, I can get tickets for everybody." He's like, "No, Dad, we have our own plans, but thanks for the invite." And then his own father showed up and ended up leaving for his reasons. So yeah, I guess having that ending and meaning that he wants a do over in his life, that makes a lot of sense. It actually makes it more cohesive to the story, and I'm actually quite. I'm surprised I didn't even think of it myself because it does make a lot of sense. However, my interpretation was like he's that he was so infatuated, like, even though he had regret, he was watching himself on screen. It was like, "Man, I love this. Let's do it." Can I go again? Can I do another one? So yeah, I just found this really interesting that we had this. I just had a completely different perspective of this ending that I guess depending on the director, it can be left open for interpretation. But I think to your point and what we're reading online, it definitely makes more sense that it's more like the movie's about regretting and the decisions that you make. And even going back to, we were talking about Billy Cutup and like maybe he did feel a little bit regret of kind of stealing his thunder at the very end. And so like it's kind of starting from there and kind of spiraling into I got to be with my family, and then they're all rejecting him and him reflecting on the decisions of his life. And then yeah, it all makes sense that like him turning to the camera and say, "Can I go again? I like to do another one." Kind of making a redo on his life to making he would have probably made more choices that were aligned with having people surrounding him, the ones that he loved. But there's still part of me that I like the cynical ending of like, "Yeah, I love what I do. Let's do this one more."
But it could be that. It could have been a little bit of. I could see it go either way.
Yeah, I guess. It's again, it's open for interpretation for the most part, but uh, it was an interesting way to end the movie, considering that at the very beginning, I think we had a really solid start, and it was a good bookend
Mhm.
because literally he was like, "Can I do this one more time? Or can we go again? I like to do another one." With his last take on the latest movie that he was working on, but I thought that was like a beautiful sweeping shot, like you were describing earlier. of like a really nice oneer of like
Oh yeah.
the vibes of Hollywood. And literally we have the scene slowly coming together and him kind of sitting there. And it looks realistic. Like it does look like that he's like sitting on a bridge next to a police car. And I like that how they like even like it was like it was so fluid. It felt so natural. And like even so much so that like they's like, hey, can you put the thing on my arm or my hand so the dog knows to go to it? Like, that was the dog's, like, treat or signal or whatever to go and approach him, and it was, like it was so quick, and I love the fluidity of that scene of that scene. It was a great way
Hmm.
to to start the movie, and there was also a part of me that I feel like the whole movie had that vibe. Like, a little bit of, like, this introspective of the movie making not the process of the movie making process, but, like, more in line with that, but we were obviously more focusing on his career and the decisions that he's made and how he's affected other people and how his decisions affected their decisions and kind of questioning lives of other people. The one thing that I was a little bit confused about of what made Laura Dern leave midway through the train.
I just think I think she just got fed up with the shit. She's like, I'm done. I think to me, it was like she was done with this shit. She's like, I'm done. Cause he asked him, oh, did she leave just here or is she gone for good? And he never really answered her. She's like, oh, here's your
Mhm.
book, your outfits. It's like the other girl,
Yeah,
her dog swallowed a nail, and
yeah,
the other one was like, oh, she just left. But then in her whole explanation, and that's where she kind of goes into the whole like when you mean something to somebody and they don't mean the same to you. I think her being on that train and kind of dealing with all those situations like leading up to that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. She's like, I'm officially done with this.
yeah. I feel like if there was any weak moment in the movie where I wish that we got it, like there was no reason she had to leave in that moment. I think she could have left at a different moment to be more impactful because for me it just kind of came out of nowhere. It felt more earned when Adam Sandler was like, "You know what? I did all this hard work and you don't even wanna respect me for going back to do this going back on Monday to do this movie, then we're done." And I feel like with Laura Dern, there was a conversation with Adam Sandler, but there was like I didn't feel like I'm fed up, I'm leaving. It just felt very sudden.
But then she gives us that moment where they talk about how he was going to propose to her, and then that's
Right,
really you get that her leaving, you get the moment of learning that he has a love lost with this person who he's been working with
right,
his whole life. So that's the other part of that. And so not only did they have this moment where they were going to be together, they also spent the next 30 plus years working together,
right,
like going to work, looking at each other, knowing that there's this thing between them and that there's this whole other life that each of them could have had, but that they're now living regretfully and they don't like. So how hard is that? Like looking at somebody who you could have had a life with every day
right.
for the rest of your life.
Now, how do you feel like this like again, the ending is like as Noah Baumbach described, like the future hasn't been written yet. Where do you think we go from here as far as like do
Like
you think
what does
like
Jay Kelly do next?
exactly like do you think he does that next movie? Do you think Ron is still his manager? Do you think that, Jay Kelly's quitting acting and he's gonna try to make a real effort into, you know, having a real connection with his daughters?
Well, he's already lost one. I mean, she's basically told him like I don't want anything to do with you basically.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I don't know, but he has I mean cuz his younger daughter sent him a text. I think it was like congratulations. It was like a picture of
Yeah.
them. So it's like it's almost like he letting us know that there's still a chance for him to make up for where he's lost. He maybe have lost one daughter, but you have an opportunity to still have a connection with your younger daughter.
There's still hope. At least you can save one relationship, but you're most likely not going to save both.
Exactly, exactly. You've lost
Yeah.
one, but you're still on the verge. You could lose this one, but you have an opportunity to hold on to whatever's left of it.
Does Ron stay with Jay?
Yes, I think he does.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I only reason I say that is because in that moment where he could have went with him to this tribute thing, or he could have went back home, he chose to stay with him. And
Yeah.
based off his life and his family, like they're gonna want him to stay with Jay because that's their cash
Right.
cow, and
Yeah.
that's their life. That's their security blanket. That his wife doesn't have to work because he's Jay Kelly's manager.
Right. Yeah. And then there's also this funny bit with the cheesecake where like the cheesecake is on your rider, but apparently he doesn't like cheesecake at all. But excuse me. Like that was the like I think there was that moment like the cheesecake kept being brought up and Jay Kelly not eating it. But then the fact that at the very end of the movie where like they're helping each other, like they're fixing each other's
Hmm.
ties and whatever, or their bow ties. And Jay Kelly takes the fork and takes a bite of the cheesecake, and he was like, "Oh shit, this is actually really good." And then he takes another bite at it. Just shows how much Ron knows Jay.
Hmm.
It's like, "You're saying that you don't want the cheesecake. You're saying you don't wanna do this movie, but we know you want to." Like, I don't know, like, we know you very, very well. And so, I think he does that next movie. Like, I think
And I think he does and I think he does only for the fact is that at the end he reaches out to him and he tries to, he wants to be a friend because he realizes he doesn't have anybody else. So Ron is like
Mhm.
his last ditch effort to have any kind of relationship with anyone. And he tells him, you're my friend. So now he has an opportunity to do something, even though it's something that he's already promised he's going to do. But maybe he does that one last movie and then he quits.
Yeah, maybe. Like, let's fulfill all of our obligations, and then
And then
we'll
I'm
see
done.
where we move from there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think this movie presented obviously, we've been talking about it for quite a bit. It introduces a lot of talking points. Like, I don't think I was more or less emotionally invested into this whole movie per se, but we did find a lot of good takeaways to come out of this and, like, what it kinda means, and I think to your point, it's like, it's hard to feel sympathy for these characters or feel emotionally invested because here's this, like, rich white guy saying that I'm lonely. So, like, you know what I mean? It's like, at the end of
Rich,
the day, it's like, "Oh."
rich, famous white guy.
Yeah, that I'm lonely, like, my family, but all this money. I'm
Ugh.
so alone, but thank you, servant, for my drink."
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so, like, you get that level of, like, okay, but there's a lot of interesting stuff there if and especially if you like movies, it kinda hones in on there. Where are we on the, Oscars talks here? How we're in the awards conversation.
I could see it, and I don't know because what I don't know if it necessarily will make it to the Oscars, but I would see it for writing for Noah Baumbach's writing. I think he writes a hell of a story. He knows how to write characters. We saw it in Marriage Story, and I see it in this one too. Like even if a story for a person I'm not invested to, I loved the way he laid out his life for us to kind of watch, if that makes sense. Like the way he
Yeah.
laid his story out, I mean, Luke, we kind of been going back on different points here, and he writes very introspective characters. So it gives you time where you can, even though this is an unrelatable person, you can find elements in his story that you can relate to your own life, which is that I really, really enjoy. So it's less about him as a person. It's less about who the actor is and like that person is, and more of who the individual is affected by this situation.
Uh, Performances?
Adam Sandler, hands down. Uh, I guess for George Clooney, I wouldn't be surprised if he got a nomination somewhere, but definitely for Adam Sandler.
Best Picture.
No, no, I don't see Best Picture.
Interesting.
Do you?
I 100% agree with you on the writing. I think if this movie was gonna be nominated for anything, it will be the writing. I don't know if they'll go as far as give the nomination to Adam Sandler. I see it more for George Clooney. I also don't see it I don't see them getting it. I think there's, stronger performances that they might go to.
Hmm.
So, obviously, George Clooney for, Best Actor and Adam Sandler for Supporting Actor. I mean, they got recognized at the where's the Indaba
In the bu- I
IMDb.
still think it was a good movie though.
Yes, yeah, I do think it was a good movie awards. For the nomination okay, so the Critics' Choice, gave 4 nominations for, Best Picture, Best Supporting Actor for Adam Sandler, but not George Clooney for actor, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Casting Ensemble. So those were the 4 for critics, and then for the Golden Globe, they gave it for Best Actor for George Clooney and Best Supporting Actor for Adam Sandler. So, the Critics' Choice recognized it as a Best Picture contender, whereas both are in agreement. The only award that matches was Adam Sandler's supporting actor performance. So,
Yeah.
he has some legs to stand on that he could be nominated at the Oscars for it. I don't see it personally. I don't think that's going to happen. But I mean, anything is possible. Because of how the Oscars are. It's a movie about movies, and sometimes they have a soft spot for that type of content.
Hmm.
So I can see it sneak in there for Best Picture. I don't think it's going to win,
Mm-mm.
but there are a lot of those movies where like, oh, okay, you gave it the Best Picture nom, but then it wins nothing. So it'd be nominated for all these awards, including Best Picture, and it walks away with nothing. And I'm not saying that Jake Kelly can be it, but if it does get nominated for yeah, if it does get nominated for Best Picture, I don't think it's gonna come out with
Yeah, same.
much gold at the end of it. But with all of that, your final thoughts and your 5-star rating.
I was pleasantly surprised of how much I enjoyed it, and actually think the more we kind of went back and forth about it, I felt like I felt like I enjoyed it more than I initially thought. I love Noam Baumbach's writing. I think he's great. I mentioned I love Marriage Story. I thought the writing on this was the same, just on par. Great performance from the ensemble cast, especially from Adam Sandler. It was also really pretty to look at, just looking at like the landscapes of Italy and stuff like that. That's always, just really pretty cinematography. That nice one shot they have in the beginning really kind of sets the stage for the story. I love the bookend ending of how he break the fourth wall. I mean, that was great. It was great for us to reflect on it, but still kind of open ending on not knowing what he was going to do with his life. Gives you time to, like, if you wanted, you could go back and rewatch and kind of reevaluate what you think that's going to be. I'm going to go 4 stars.
Yep, I'm right there with you on the 4. I think when I came in, I was more on the 3.5, but I agree with you having this conversation and really talking about some of the themes and the story beats and the performances. And yeah, I think I got bumped up to a 4 as well.
Mm,
It's a really good movie.
yes.
Especially if you're into this. Like, I feel like if you're familiar with what Hollywood can affect, and there's a lot of these types of movies, like the downsides of Hollywood, and I feel
Hmm.
like this is around that conversation of like being a Hollywood movie star can be the best thing ever, but it comes with its challenges, and I feel like this is another one of those movies that kind of describes that, but a more elegant way in a way. Nothing as tragic and nothing as like in your face, like, horrifying, but more of, like, a delicate, like he technically didn't do anything wrong, but there was a lot of mistakes that he kind of, like a lot of regrets that clearly we can see along the way. Um, but yeah, and also to your point, I think the strongest point of this movie is the writing. He knows how to write characters and write interesting stories, and again, we were talking about it for quite a bit, so there's definitely a lot to talk about here. And who knows? I think it might get some Oscar love, and only time will tell. If it gets any wins, we know left to be determined. But I think it's definitely in the conversation for sure.
Yeah, same.
But there you go. That's our spoiler review on Jay Kelly, and that is all the show we have for you guys this week. As always, you can follow us on our social media channels on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at Box Office Bingers, our X and Letterbox page at Box Office Binger, and our Threads and Instagram page at Box Office _ Bingers. The fun doesn't stop here; it continues on all of our social media channels. So be sure to give each one of those a follow. You can see our movie reviews on our Letterbox page and our lovely faces in short form videos in our Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok pages, as well as new to stream Fridays, and we give you the box office numbers every Sunday. So again, be sure to follow us on all those social media channels. We would really appreciate that. Next week, Ernesto, to the people, what we are reviewing.
We are reviewing. We're kind of diving right back into Oscar season. We're going to be reviewing this movie that's heavily contended for this Oscar season, and that's Hamnet, starring oh my god, his name
Jesse Buckley
and
um,
Pedro Mescal,
Paul
Paul
Mescal.
Mescal. Like Very close to Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, yes.
Paul Mescal,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, Jesse Buckley, Paul Mescal, directed by, uh,
Chloe Zhao.
Chloe Zhao, who did No Man Land and The Eternals, and did we was no, those are the big 2.
Yeah.
No Man Land was a great movie. I
Yes.
think it won Best Picture, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah, won 3 Oscars, including yeah, Best Picture,
Yeah.
and Best Actress for Frances McDormand, and Best Directing. Yeah, so she's an Oscar winner. So yeah, and of course, when that happens, like when another Oscar winner makes a movie, it's kind of we're back in the same like these the committee knows who they like, and so they gravitate toward it. And this is another one of those movies where it's telling an interesting story. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not too thrilled by the trailer, but I'm open to see what it brings because I do like her as a director, and I did like Eternals for what it's worth.
Same. It's gonna be Oscar Beatty. So
Yeah.
if I had, well, I guess you'll have to tune in next week to find out. But
Yes. um, but yeah, I'm interested. I like her. I like her style of directing, so hopefully it's an interesting one. But also there's those movies that also do feel very like you said, Oscar Beatty. So we'll see where that falls when we talk about this movie next week. And we're gonna have a more traditional show. So, like I mentioned earlier, we're in our news segment. We're gonna be talking about some of the movies that are being recognized as the year is coming to a close with all the nominations that are being announced, the honorees. We're also gonna have a traditional "What You're Watching."
mhm.
Part of a little bit of a tease of what we're watching. We both have watched all of Stranger Things season 5 volume 1 as we, close out the Stranger Things saga, and they're planning on doing that in 3 parts as far as the releases. So we've seen all of volume 1 with volume 2 happening on Christmas Day and then volume 3 at the on New Year's Eve. So a lot of interesting stuff that came out of Stranger Things. Uh Volume 1, so I can't wait to talk about with you next week, as well as all the other goodies that we might talk about next week. So,
Yeah.
we really do appreciate you listening to us talk about movies. Come back next week for more movie fun. You're not going to regret it. And for that, I've been your host, Matthew.
Ben Ernesto Santos. See ya.